Hey guys, and welcome to a special episode of the show. And I say special episode because normally, I wouldn't cover a TV series, but in this case, I had to make an exception. I also want to thank those of you who wrote in suggesting that I watch this show, because if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have checked it out. It wasn't on my radar at all, but a bunch of you started sending me messages like, Mark, you gotta watch this. And then I saw all the horrible reviews it was getting online. And at that point, I was like, all right, drop everything. I gotta sit here and watch this and see what's going on with this thing. Netflix blessed the world with 7 hilarious episodes of The Island. And in this video, I'm gonna be breaking down the whole series. So buckle up, guys, because it's gonna be a wild ride. Honestly, I got like 14 pages here. The Island is easily one of the worst TV shows ever made. At least for me. There's no question, because there's just so much to go over here. It's amazing. This is gonna be funny. I wonder how many people are gonna watch this who are actually fans of this series, and just the whole time shouting, it's pronounced Island! You stupid! This show is a perfect example of something I've talked about before, and that's the audience's connection to the character based on the character's behavior in the circumstance they're in. And what I mean by that is the audience won't be able to connect or relate with a character if their actions in a certain situation don't make any sense. The interesting thing is it's not the situation that the character finds themselves in that has to be, exactly realistic or relatable in the literal sense. It's their behavior within that situation that has to be relatable, because that's the human element. I'm going to use an example of another story that involves being stranded on a deserted island. The movie Castaway with Tom Hanks. Now, I'm willing to bet that 99.9% of people that have seen Castaway have never been stranded on a deserted island. They've never been in this situation. But I'm willing to bet that most people have probably felt lost before, alone, scared, confused, cast away. It's the character's reaction to the situation that's relatable. Again, you've never been in this exact situation before, but his behavior makes sense. And if you were in this situation, you'd probably react in a similar way. You'd go through a lot of these emotions, probably do a lot of these same things, because it's only logical. So when you have a show with a bunch of characters stranded on a deserted island, and their actions make no sense, and the choices they make are confusing at best, there's really not a lot to connect to. The first episode starts with the character Chase waking up on a beach holding a shell. The laughs start right away as, after she calls out to see if anyone's around, she does this. Question for you guys. How many of you think that if you woke up holding onto a shell, your first instinct would be to blow it? Just want to get an idea, on average, how horny my audience is. I was talking about this a few weeks ago, and a friend of mine just said to me, but Mark, it's a conch shell. Of course they're going to blow it. But no, I'm sorry, I'm not buying that. If you woke up on a beach and you had no idea what was going on, and you were holding onto a shell, I don't believe that your first instinct would be like, oh yeah, let me just wrap my lips around this thing. Oh yeah, maybe if there's people nearby, they'll hear the noise of the shell and come running. You don't know what's going on. You're completely disoriented. So now she runs into KC, who is just a jerk for no reason. Chase asks her if she found anything, and KC says no, even though she's clearly hiding something. So after Chase calls her out for lying, she reveals a knife.
So we don't know who or where we are, and we got 2 things.
Nope. You have something, and I have something.
Look, I get being skeptical in this situation, right? You don't remember what happened, you don't know how you got there, you don't know who you are, you don't know who anybody is, but I would think I would try to not make enemies right off the bat. Survival may depend on it. Again, you don't necessarily have to trust them right away, just don't be a dick. So they find a few other people and try to figure out exactly what's going on. One of the characters suggests that, hey, maybe we're on some sort of a work trip. I mean, we're wearing the same clothes. And this makes complete sense. It's probably the most logical suggestion that anybody makes throughout the entirety of the series. Think about it. You're all dressed the same. You all woke up on the beach with no memory. Here's a scenario. You all work together at, say, a resort or something like that. And one night you have a work party, maybe it's the end of the season or something. And, you're all drinking, you take some drugs, maybe it's a bad batch, and you all wander off, trip balls, and pass out on the beach. I mean, that's at least somewhat possible.
I don't know, some kind of work trip or something? Since our clothes are all so similar? I don't think this is team building.
Oh, okay, so let's just dismiss the suggestion that you might all work together because I'm pretty sure this isn't team building. Oh, all right, yeah, so let's just forget that, even though it kind of makes sense. Let's not entertain that possibility at all anymore. So you have no memories, you don't know what's going on. Maybe explore all possibilities. At least she's trying to piece together what happened instead of just sitting there trying to antagonize everyone.
That's why I'm saying...
Doesn't add up. Say it again. Doesn't add up. Makes you feel better? Doesn't add up.
You're really confrontational.
And you're a real bitch.
See, now this is a great strategy. Maybe if I make enemies with all these people, I'll remember who I am. Then they find out they have names written on the tags of their clothes, and they decide these must be their names. These names don't really jar anybody's memory, though. So Chase then decides, hey, let's look around this place, maybe try to figure out where we are.
What's to figure out?
Where we are, who we are, little details like that.
We just learned our names. It's enough for one day.
Yeah, that's enough for one day. Learning your names, something that proved to be entirely inconsequential and led you nowhere closer to figuring out what's going on. Enough for one day, as if that was some sort of exhausting task. It's nothing. You've literally accomplished nothing. You know what it's like? Here's another example. Imagine you're going to renovate your kitchen. It's a lot of work, right? Okay, so imagine on the first day, you walk into the kitchen. You read the Domino's pizza menu that's stuck on the fridge and say, oh, well, that's enough for one day. The same amount of progress was made here. None. So Chase asks if anyone wants to come with her, and nobody speaks up. Is this a joke? You all just want to stand around and do nothing? Here's the thing that kills me about all of this. They don't know that they're on a deserted island. They don't. All they know is that they woke up on a beach and they don't remember anything. Civilization could be not that far away, but you've just come to the conclusion that, well, there's water in front of us. That must mean that we're completely surrounded by it. We're stranded. So after Chase and KC start taking some more childish jabs at each other, Brody and Donovan finally agree to go with Chase. They dig up some more items they find in the sand. Brody suggests that they find some fresh water, and then Donovan criticizes Brody for taking his shirt off.
Time for the gun show. What a surprise.
And then leaves because he says it's too hot. Yeah, guys, it's too hot here. I'm gonna go over there and find some shade. I mean, we might all starve to death, but shade. During this first 15 minutes of watching the show, I began to wonder if the characters were written as high school students because that's how they act. Starting fights for no reason, shit-talking each other, getting jealous, calling each other basic. Anyways, Brody and Chase find a waterfall and then they just start making out because this makes total sense given the circumstances. It must be the realization of not knowing who you are, who anybody else is, how you got there, or how you're gonna survive. I can see that making someone extremely horny, you know. Forget survival instinct, let's bang it out. Do I really have to explain why this is a terrible idea? I mean, you don't remember who you are or who anybody else is. What if you're related? Have you thought about that? Do you really want to take the risk of that memory coming back after the fact? Suddenly, Brody turns out to be a rapist because, of course, we've already established one of these characters as being a complete piece of shit from the beginning. Why not another one? Meanwhile, back on the beach, Taylor is sunbathing because, again, it seems like none of the characters have even 2 brain cells to rub together. She's just concluded that since she hasn't seen a plane in the sky since she woke up, that they're stranded on a deserted island and she's going to die. I mean, wow, talk about taking pessimism to the extreme. That's quite the jump to a conclusion. I mean, I don't remember who I am or where I am. You know, maybe I should start looking around for food and shelter and trying to figure out how to survive. But, oh, you know what? Wait, I haven't seen a plane in the sky since I woke up. Oh, I'm doomed. I must be stranded on a deserted island. Hey, guys, stop trying. Yeah, no planes. Then she finds a book buried in the sand called The Mysterious Island. Well, that's a strange coincidence. Maybe there's some kind of a clue in here. And if not, maybe we could use it to keep a fire going. Oh, no, just gonna throw it away. And just when you thought these characters couldn't get any dumber, Donovan's just like, hey everybody, let's go swimming. So while they're having fun and living life carefree, Donovan gets bitten by a shark, disappears, and nothing of value was lost. I mean, seriously, as an audience member, do I care? No. I'm not connected to any one of the characters because so far, none of their actions make sense. In fact, I wish the shark ate more of them because they're pretty much useless, especially KC, whose only talents seem to be starting problems with people and repeating exactly what she just said.
Doesn't add up.
That's why I'm saying.
Doesn't add up. Say it again. Doesn't add up. Makes you feel better? Doesn't add up. Shit doesn't just happen.
So what are you saying?
That shit doesn't just happen.
Brody comes back and shows everyone all the stuff he and Chase found.
Where'd you get all that stuff? That bitch find it?
What is your problem? Like, this is the funny thing. She doesn't really have any reason to hate Chase. She says she thinks Chase is hiding something from everybody else. But she's been like this towards Chase from the moment she met her. Brody suggests moving behind some rocks to block the wind and build a fire. And it is amazing how these characters have already given up on life. They see no point to this. He basically has to beg them to come with him. The next day, Chase is exploring with her trusty shell and finds Donovan's body washed up on the beach. And he's still alive somehow, so I guess it's a good thing that she has that shell. So they all come running to help, and just listen to the chatter here.
Okay, I'll get the kit.
Let me help you with the leg.
Isn't that the guy that pushed you in front of the shark?
I love that. In the middle of trying to save this guy's life. Isn't that the guy who pushed you into the shark? Like, what? Oh, yeah, you know, you're right. I mean, there was a lot of panic going on at the time, and maybe it was unintentional, but yeah, I think you did push me into that shark. Screw this guy. Well, back you go. Later, Brody comes over and gives probably the worst apology ever written, which Chase clearly doesn't accept. So then he tells her the group is having a meeting and that he hopes she can join them. And just watch this.
The rest of them, they want to have a meeting. So I told them that I'd come over here and tell you. I hope you can join us.
We'll see.
I hope so. I could use your vote.
Don't hold your breath.
You know, I don't need you. You know that, right? I was just being nice. Oh, and by the way, I wasn't trying to rape you.
You weren't? Really?
I mean, there's no such thing like that in a place like this. There's just sex and no sex.
Where do I even begin with this? It's just incredible. It's like, oh, hey, how's it going? Sorry about that whole trying to attack you and then lying about it to everybody. So, you still pissed about that? Yeah, you're still pissed. Okay. Well, hey, we're having a meeting. Could you come to the meeting and then help me? Because I need you to vote for me at the meeting. Oh, you're not coming to the meeting? Okay, well, fine. I actually didn't need your help. you know. That was me asking for your help was just my way of being nice. And by the way, I wasn't trying to rape you because rape doesn't exist here. Didn't you know that? Yeah. We're on the island of surprise sex. And I gotta say, how would you not just kill that guy right then and there for saying all that? I mean, not only is he condoning what he did, he's basically saying, yeah, it's probably gonna happen again. Just make him disappear. Nobody's around, you got a hatchet and a knife, and then as he's bleeding out, just really rub salt in the wound, you know? Just be like, oh, you didn't hear, Brody? There's no such thing as murder here. It's just the island of life and death, and I guess you're dead. One of the characters, Mason, decided to count the number of steps between the spots where they all woke up on the beach, and it turns out it's 39 steps. I have no idea why anyone would think to do this, but not only did he think to count the steps, but then multiply it by the number of people in their group, and then walked that number of steps or something until they found a sign? These little puzzles are hilarious because it doesn't, like, who would imagine coming up with that? Okay, so we're gonna space their bodies out 39 steps, and if you take that number and then multiply it by the amount of people, you get another number, which if you walk that many steps in a certain direction, that's another thing. How did he know which direction to walk that number of steps in? They'll find a sign. So they take the group to the sign, which says, find your way back. And I love how most of them don't give a shit. They all treat it like it means nothing.
Okay, so it's a sign.
It says find your way back.
Yep. Right there.
Yeah, we can read.
It's not like it's magic. It's not even math. They just walked down the beach and found it. If they hadn't, someone else would have.
It's cool. It's just not a grocery store or ice cream. We're hungry. And it's not even a map that tells us where we are.
They don't even try to collectively come up with an idea of what it could possibly mean. This may be the laziest group of characters of all time. I mean, really, how many times do I have to say this? If you were in this situation, no idea who you are, where you are, what's going on, wouldn't you at least have an interest in seeing if these clues lead to something? Well, what else have you got to do? Oh, I'm sorry, are you too busy? Oh, sorry, my schedule's packed for the next couple days. I gotta go back to doing what I was doing before. Running out of coconuts to eat and dying. It's just the attitude that they have of, well, it's just a sign. I mean, that could mean anything. So Chase gets pissed off and throws the shell, which breaks and has this imprinted on the inside, along with some sort of blinking device. And so ends episode 1 with another clue that you as an audience member probably don't care about because this first episode was so terrible. But I beg you, ladies and gentlemen, stick around because it gets better. And by better, I mean even more ridiculously bad. A show like this doesn't come around all the time, folks. This is like the unicorn of bad TV. It's amazing. It gets worse with each episode somehow. So Chase finds a life raft and decides to hide it from the group. Inside the raft are some bullets, 2 medical cases, one containing medical supplies, the other contains a locked metal case. The next day, she finds the blinking device and, for whatever reason, determines that this must be the way to open the locked case. Then comes in the power of the number 39 and all the different combinations of 3 and 9 until finally it opens to reveal a gun. Casey tells Hayden about what happened when Brody tried to rape her.
I kept pushing it. Pushing him to be with me. To prove that he liked me more.
I'm sorry, you kept pushing him to prove that he liked you more than Chase? Again, I'm sorry, are these characters supposed to be high school students? I just wanted him to prove to me that he liked me more than her. What are you talking about? You don't even know each other and you're already getting jealous that this guy might like Chase more than you? Hello? Have we forgotten about the situation at hand here? What planet is this? I mean, if it was me in this situation, I'm pretty sure the last thing on my mind would be, who likes who more than who? Who cares? This is what, like the third day, and you've gone from waking up on an island with memory loss to, wait, that guy likes her more than me? Well, we'll see about that. Somehow, survival has just like dropped down the list of priorities for these people and become basically, well, if we live, we live. So Chase and, what's this guy's name again? Oh, Cooper. They go on a hike and find some kind of old hotel with rooms and beds. So of course they go back and tell the others.
It's got beds and water, all kinds of stuff.
Beds?
Beds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
You know, we could build beds here and we don't have to climb a cliff.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to make an effort to go to shelter that's already been constructed? We could build our own shelter and our own beds, okay? I mean, come on. Look, we made these hats today. So that's like halfway there. Anyways, Chase and Brody get in a fight. Brody leaves, and then everyone tells Chase to go as well because the two of them are always fighting. Yeah, probably has something to do with that sexual assault. The next morning, they drag Chase out of her raft because Brody is dead on the beach. Of course, Chase just starts kicking everyone's ass, especially Cooper, who isn't even armed. Yeah, screw him. Until finally they knock her unconscious, and here we go, folks, the big reveal. It's the future, and Chase is in some kind of a prison where they do experiments. And this experiment is where they send a bunch of inmates to an island in their minds. And if you die on the island, you die in real life. So it's kind of like Lost meets The Matrix, except it sucks. Anyways, this doctor comes in and is like, hey, I'm the doctor looking after you. And I'm sure you have lots of questions, which I won't be answering. Then the doctor removes some kind of force field that was paralyzing her.
It's a force field of sorts, which sounds very sci-fi, but it's really just magnetics, that's all. A magnetic force field to keep you in place.
Ah, yes. Now that you've explained it, you're right. It's not very sci-fi at all. It's just magnetics. Just a magnetic force field. That's pretty basic. A magnetic force field that's paralyzing you from the neck down completely. Don't you get it now from that very thorough explanation that makes perfect sense? Suddenly he just dips, which is hilarious because it calls into question exactly why his character was even there. He basically came into the room to say, hey, I'm looking after you. I'm a doctor. And I'm sure you have a bunch of questions, but I'm not going to listen to any of them. I'm just going to take this totally non-sci-fi force field off you. Okay, bye. So the miscast prison guards take her to see the warden, who tells her she's caused a lot of trouble, which I don't understand. I mean, how exactly has she caused a lot of trouble? Because she caused some unrest within the group because Brody tried to rape her? Is it because she was trying to put together the clues that the program was giving them? Or is it because she seemed to be the only person on the island with, common sense? So they try to send her back into the program, but she beats up the guards and uses the special force field to stop them from getting up. You'd think that this taking place in the future and being some kind of a special prison, the guards would have some kind of efficient method to subdue inmates other than just their fists or guns, because it's clear they're not very good at using either. Hey, here's an idea. Maybe keep inmates, especially those who obviously have had some kind of martial arts training, in these things. They're called handcuffs. So they put her in front of this panel of people who designed the whole simulation. And this is amazing because it seems like some of these people didn't even observe what happened in the simulation.
She has proven to be reckless, self-serving, and rather bloodthirsty, hoarding weapons and information for herself.
Well, what else was she supposed to do? I mean, right from the beginning, Casey was antagonistic towards her. Brody tried to rape her. She doesn't know any of the people on the island. She doesn't have any memories at all. She just woke up in this place. So yeah, she kept information and weapons that she found to herself. Who wouldn't? Doesn't sound like she's bloodthirsty, just sounds like she's trying to protect herself. By the way, this whole time she's been having these visions of this woman, and now she's having visions of shooting this woman in the head. I really don't get this. They give her some pills and then put her on a truck without any kind of handcuffs or restraints at all because, you know, that would only prevent her from escaping. It's amazing. I mean, this prison has all this futuristic technology and security and laser fences, but you mean to tell me you can't find a zip tie to put around her wrists? Then she sneaks into another building and finds the, I don't know, simulation pods. They put her back on the island where she tries to tell them all that it's a simulation, but nobody believes her. And just when you thought this show couldn't get any dumber, these two characters show up named Bonnie and Clyde. So after they talk for a bit, Chase asks why they never said anything about Brody's dead body on the beach. At first they're like, what body? And then suddenly they're just like, oh, okay, you got us. Well, the jig's up. This is a simulation, and we're here to bring justice courtesy of the US legal system if you step out of line. Like, I don't understand. Suddenly it's just, we screwed up. Man, we're not very good at this whole lying thing. Why is this so hard? Just keep denying it. Just keep saying, we didn't see any body. Here, this is how easy this is. Body, there's a dead body? Where's the body? Oh, it's over there? Oh, well, that's why we didn't see it. We came from over there. Not that hard. You could have arrived there from any direction you want. Just keep lying. Honestly, this whole scene takes the writing and acting in this show to new lows that I didn't even think were possible. And the most amazing thing is that through all of this, at no point is any one of them like, hey, okay, hold on a second. What exactly is going on here? I mean, obviously this is all not what it seems. So why are we here? Who are we? What is this? And they still have this anger towards Chase, even though it was just confirmed by these two idiots that Chase didn't even kill Brody. It was Hayden. Sure, she was hiding the medical supplies, but honestly, can you blame her? And she just gave them to you. She seems to be the one best equipped to survive this whole situation, especially with Bonnie and Clyde walking around killing people. Speaking of which, these two morons are the ones who deserve your anger. I mean, they just killed someone right in front of you and are now basically threatening all of you with the most flippant attitude. If anything, these two are the biggest threats and the most immediate threats. You should be trying to work with Chase to come up with a way of getting rid of these two psychos. So a few of them find the village on the other side of the island. Maybe you would have found this if you actually cared to go exploring in the first place. At this point, all of the characters start having flashbacks, which basically show why they went to prison in the first place. They're all either killers or just horrible people. Casey's story is that she had an abusive husband, so she decided to murder her children and stab herself. Taylor takes the life raft and leaves to go try and find the second island that Bonnie and Clyde were talking about. Yes, this must be it. The one covered with all these jagged rocks. This looks much better. So Taylor finally makes it past all the rocks and finds a human skull because that's always a good sign. And just like the shell, the skull has property of island printed on it. Or in this case, it's to land. But why is this printed on it? Like, these aren't props. They're not real. This is a simulation. Suddenly, she wakes up, and her hand is all bandaged up for some reason. And she finds a bowl with a sign that says chicken soup. Nothing strange about any of this. Might as well go ahead and dig in. Turns out that there's some kind of cannibal on the island, and the chicken soup she ate was actually soup made from her own fingers. Oh no. Oh my God. Just imagine yourself in this scenario. You suddenly wake up and your hand is all bandaged for some reason. And it wasn't before. And there's a bowl in front of you with mysterious meat inside that says chicken soup. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but the first thing I would do in this situation is check to see why my hand is all wrapped up in bandages. Oh, gee, my hand is all wrapped up for some reason and it really hurts. But I mean, there's chicken soup right in front of me. Yeah, I'll check on this later and just dive right into this. Chase has some kind of vision or encounters some kind of avatar of the woman she killed. I don't know exactly. It doesn't matter. It turns out this woman was her mother. So I guess Cooper and Chase are actually married in real life. And now we get the flashback of what actually happened to Chase's mother. She was hiding out in her basement with a gun for some reason when Cooper came over. There was a struggle and he accidentally shot her in the head. And for whatever reason, Chase was convicted of the crime. Which brings up the question, why was Chase having memories of shooting her mother in the head when she wasn't even there? Again, maybe this is just me, but I don't have memories of things that didn't happen or, doing things that I didn't do. If one of my friends came up to me and said, "Hey, Mark, do you remember the time that you wrestled that alligator?" I would say, no, because it didn't happen. None of this makes any sense. You can't even make the argument, well, that's probably the scenario that the prosecution, put forth in order to get a conviction, and that's why she has the memories. Like, first of all, no, she wouldn't have memories of the crime scene if she was never at the crime scene. And second, because both her and her husband were convicted of the crime, and he doesn't appear in any of the flashbacks, I don't even know why I'm bothering with this. I really don't think I need to defend my position when it comes to how ridiculous this is. I think it's pretty straightforward. So they take Chase out of the simulation like, hey, guess what? Because of your husband's confession to the crime in the simulation, you've been exonerated. Yay! But there's just one more thing so that she can see how she really looks, and oh my god, it turns out she's actually much older. She's been in there for 25 years. Oh no, who cares? Seriously, ooh, what a twist. Okay, well, damn, that sucks. And the prison is like, yeah, sorry about that whole thing, but on the bright side, you really helped us out with our little simulation thing, which will help rehabilitate other convicts. Oh yeah, silver lining, everybody. As if that makes any of this better. If it was me, I'd be like, oh, okay, calling a lawyer. And that's the end of this whole thing. Unlikable characters, behavior that makes no sense given the circumstances. The whole thing's just a complete mess. It's really no wonder why people were just torching this thing when it came out. I mean, 7 episodes of this. It's one of those situations where you just look at it and you just wonder, like, how? And I can't be sure, but I imagine there's not going to be a second season of this. And even if there is, I don't care. I'm not reviewing it. This was enough for me, because the thing is, and anybody who watches this show regularly knows, I usually just cover movies. And that's different because a movie, that's like an hour and a half to 2 hours usually. And then after I finish the video, it's done and I move on to something else. But this was 7 episodes and each one was around 40 minutes. So that's 4.5 hours. So this was like writing a review for a 4.5 hour movie. And then the thing is, I have to watch them twice. I have to watch it again when I'm writing, so that's 9 hours. Everyone I talked to about this show tried to go watch it themselves. And they came back to me and said, yeah, no. They either made it through 1 episode or like half the episode, and then they just told me, I'll just wait for your video. So with all that being said, as usual, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.